So in focus tonight is this: India and global collaboration on COVID. India and global collaboration on COVID-19 is our discussion point today. And to discuss this, we have with us Mohan Kumar, former ambassador of India to France and the chairman of RIS, that's Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries. And we have the Dr. C.G. Pandit, National Chair of ICMR, Dr. Raman Ganga-Kedkar. Thank you very much, Dr. Ganga-Kedkar and Mr. Mohan Kumar, for being with us. We'll start with you, Dr. Ganga-Kedkar. So, you know, India brings to the table a lot. We just saw that. India is the largest producer of vaccines in the world. What are the kind of collaborations that, you know, countries would be interested in at this point in time, as far as, you know, India's capabilities are concerned?
One of the things which we need to recognize is there are two types of collaboration that people would like to have.
Yes.
One is for testing their own vaccines if they have proven to be efficacious in rest of the world for phase 1 and phase 2, mainly because the outbreak continues to be severe in this part of the world, whereas in some majority of the world outside, excepting US and Brazil, perhaps the peak has already been reached, and you find that the new cases are occurring less and lesser. So they would also like to participate in this particular exercise. But at the same time, one must also realize their need to develop vaccines and produce them continues to be high. And when it comes to production of vaccines, India has the most dominant role to play. Because if there are 3 children who have received any kind of vaccine in the world, 2 of them have received Indian vaccine, manufactured in India as such.
Okay.
Therefore, there is a twofold role that India can play. Most important is for distribution, but at the same time doing research in order to understand the efficacy of this particular vaccine, what are the side effects that occur. Perhaps India can play a major role there.
Mr. Mohan Kumar, looking at the diplomatic efforts, you can see that countries are keen to collaborate with India. As we saw India and Israel, we can see that technology is being brought right up front, you know, to help in testing. Scientists are raising their game in a sense. The world is keen on finding a solution, and a solution fast. To this extent, you know, what kind of role can diplomacy play in aiding this entire process, in helping it to move faster?
Thank you for having me. I think diplomacy plays a critical role. I see for India a huge role in terms of being the net public health security provider, not just for the region, but for the world. I mean, it's quite bizarre if you come to think of it. People talk of strategic food grain reserves. People talk of strategic petroleum reserves, but there aren't strategic pharmaceutical reserves for saving people's lives. What could be more important than saving people's lives? So that's the first point that I'd like to make, and I see a huge role for India. The second role for India is, as the South Korean dignitary once said, all our babies have a little bit of India in them. And when I asked him what that means, he said they're all using vaccines which are made in India. Something like 70% of vaccines worldwide are produced in India. I would also say, however, while agreeing with my colleague, that a lot of reputational issue rides on India. We will have to be super careful in making these vaccines, because India has established such a fantastic reputation that we cannot afford to go wrong. People are looking up to India, and it is just as well that we take as much time as it is necessary to produce this vaccine, so that we fulfill this role, as I said, of India being the net public health security provider for the entire world.
Well, Dr. Ganga-Kedkar, we can understand that time is of the essence, but you know, I mean, time has to be also, it's relative in this particular case, because the virus is spreading so rapidly, as you said in your first answer, in certain countries. So it is relative to that, you know, the vaccine has to be found fast. And also we have what I know, that India produces about 3 billion doses of vaccine, and 2 billion are exported. So as you both have said that, you know, almost 2 out of 3 children have Indian vaccines in them. But the point is that India has this capacity, and India has the ability to produce this. But how does one reach India to produce these vaccines?
No, one of the things which is required as one of the regulatory issues is to try and ensure that phase 3 trials are conducted in India. And you are seeing that even Oxford vaccine, which is developed,
Yes.
that particular vaccine will be tried in India through Serum Institute of India, which is actually producing this vaccine in India as such. When it comes to reaching India, I think we will have to have a fresh look as to how that vaccine manufacturing will occur if the trials have been conducted outside, and we could provide those vaccines to Indians as well, because the entire world will depend on the vaccines that have been produced outside. Some kind of regulatory approaches will have to be there, where if a vaccine is found to be useful elsewhere, how we will utilize that vaccine here with minimal trials that could be done could also be one of the approaches which people would try to ensure that our own people will also receive the vaccine in addition to the entire world.
But an important point, Dr. Ganga Kedkar, also is that the vaccine, as Dr. Paul said, has to be for everyone. It has to be for humanity, to make it for everyone, it has to be affordable and it has to be accessible. India has that capacity, isn't it, to make it affordable and accessible. That's the important point at the end of the day.
That is true. India perhaps can produce it at low cost, and also ensure that the distribution of the vaccines is done across the world. Actually, India continues to remain pharmacy not only for medicines that we provide across, low-cost medicines that the generic manufacturers are providing from India. Also, the same story runs through when it comes to vaccines. So, India's role is going to remain critical, if at all, if we are going to be able to control this virus very quickly by developing effective vaccine.
Ambassador Mohan Kumar, when we look at what's happening with regard to technologies, technologies are important, and we see that scientists are raising their game, and we see that the Israelis are particularly good at this. What do you see, I mean, in terms of India's capabilities as far as science and science to science collaboration, which can help, like for instance DRDO is involved with the Israelis in bringing out testing which can actually be the fastest kind of testing, and that's going to be a game changer in a sense, because when we started testing it was taking like 48 hours before we got a result. Now we're going to get a result in 30 seconds. That's going to be quite a game changer, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think when you speak of technology, there are three issues involved. One, as you rightly say, is accessibility. The second is affordability, and these are well known. I would add a third dimension, which is not immediately obvious to people, and that is the issue of intellectual property rights. And you have the trade-related intellectual property rights of the WTO regime, and in Doha, we established the fundamental rules of the game that when you have a national emergency and when you have a pandemic, you can actually put public health considerations ahead of intellectual property rights. I sincerely hope, assuming technology is available outside, I hope these rules will be implemented in good faith, because we are dealing with a pandemic, we are dealing with a public health emergency, and we specifically provided this as an exception to the normal intellectual property rules. But I am hoping that most of the technology will be available in India. Our scientists are very, very capable of doing this all on our own. I mean, you're talking about the test kits from Israel, and I accept that we could benefit from such technology.
Yes.
Ultimately, I think we are looking at cooperation which will deal with the issue of trust. Can you trust countries? And that is where I see that countries like India, Israel, United States, some of our neighbors, those countries we can cooperate, because we are talking about trust, we are talking about resilient supply chains, and we are talking about affordable, accessible technology, which will, make use of this framework that we created in Doha on intellectual property rights. So on balance, I am optimistic.
But Dr. Ganga Kedkar, India's recovery rate is pretty high, and it's very high. In fact, that's really good news. But the point is that there's something right going on there, isn't it? The treatment is probably working. And so when we talk about, we were talking that until we find a vaccine, treatment or testing, tracking and treatment is the key. And this also seems to be working for India. So the best practices can be shared. We already know that, from day one when hydroxychloroquine was required, it was being given to the rest of the world. It actually has worked. There are reports that show that it has worked. But the point is that, India is willing to share also treatment that has evolved over time.
Absolutely. I think what we are learning as of now is it is a quality supportive care that makes a difference. And one of the most important reasons why we are able to make difference is if the people come to the hospital in time, rather than waiting at their home to let the disease develop and then come to the hospital late enough, perhaps you are going to see a huge improvement even in recovery rates as such. One of the things which we need to recognize is people should come out on their own, test yourself. If you go to the hospital, you show it to a doctor, the doctor will decide. Contact tracing is also critical, and if you do contact tracing and isolate those who are infected and are asymptomatic, perhaps it would be a great thing that would happen for prevention and control of COVID-19. And for all that, testing is critical, tracing is critical, and treatment that you provide, even if it is supportive care, because essentially what is coming out is the oxygen that you need to provide will early enough is more likely to make a difference in terms of proportion of people who would go on ventilator. We cracked that puzzle earlier, and that's the reason why you are finding so few in terms of proportions who go on ventilator as of now in Indian setups.
Yes, and a final word from you, Ambassador Mohan Kumar. We see that, you did talk about trust, and this is an issue of trust at the end. We look at a responsible power that comes forward with a certain ability, not only vaccines, but also abilities to treatment. And how would you see this playing out over time? Because the post-COVID world is going to be defined by roles played in the run-up, and in the dealing with COVID. And India here is playing an important role. How would you understand this?
Hugely important, as you say. Post-COVID world, unfortunately, is a world in which we are not seeing too much of international cooperation. We are seeing a fragmented world. In a world like that, if India can rise to the occasion and come up with a vaccine which can work, which we then mass produce, as my colleague said, and then make it available to people, accessible, affordable, I would say that this will be a huge diplomatic coup by India. It's worth thousands of dollars that you spend otherwise, doing this and doing that, because essentially it becomes a matter of life or death, and you're saving lives. So that is the way countries will see it. So I really see the potential opportunity for India to play a diplomatic, to make a diplomatic move that will be a game changer, without a doubt.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mohan Kumar and Dr. Ganga Kedkar, for being with us and helping us understand India's collaboration and the global collaboration in the fight against COVID-19.